I think we'll have to. I think it's the worst look in our game.
Yeah, could dedicate a whole show to this issue. It's been a burning one for quite some time in the game, but right now it's come to a head. Kalyn Ponga and these clauses in his favour in this contract he's currently got with the Newcastle Knights, as you saw there, leading to much debate. Gus, where do you sit with this one? What side of the fence? Team Bennett, Team Johns?
Well, these are the rules. He's only applying to the rules. And what did you expect when we brought a 17th team into the competition to start in 2023? They've got to go out and canvass players and get marquee players to the club to make a big splash. The rules of our game where you can sign 12 months out, we've been saying for years are wrong. But they're the rules, so you use them to the best of your advantage. And that's as simple as that. They need to change those.
Gus, would you sign a player like Kalyn Ponga, giving him those options in his favour? Or would you say you commit to our club, you're at our club?
Never.
Yeah,
I don't ever see the sense in signing a contract giving players options to get out.
I agree.
Or players options to extend. I never see the sense in that. The only way he's going to extend, if you sign into a contract with an option that he can extend for another year, the only reason he's going to extend for another year is if he's not worth the money. All right, he's going to extend because he needs the money. Simple as that. The other way, I find options ridiculous. I don't know why they ever appear in contracts.
Is there an answer here? End of season window?
No, I don't think the end of season window is the answer. I think, look, we're humans. Rugby league players are humans. They've got families. They need to plan things. I think the way it is at the moment is ridiculous. It's not healthy for the game. It's not healthy for the fans. I think we go back to the June 30 deadline or August 1. It was August 1 last year. You're allowed to swap players up until then, so I think maybe do that. That way the player and the families have time to relocate if they have to, but the fan does not have to put up with 8 or 9 or 10 months of knowing this player's going to another club. Now, we all know chat goes on in the background between clubs and management, and a lot of times on July 1, back in the day, someone had signed. But that's part and parcel of the game. At least the fan doesn't know. And I think that's what it's about at the moment. It's all about the fans. I think it's a really bad look for the game and what the fans have to put up with. I mean, someone like the Cheese, Brandon Smith. Now, he's a great player. He's never ever going to let the Melbourne Storm down. But the Melbourne Storm fans have known since November last year he's going to the Roosters. That's not healthy for anyone.
That's not his fault.
I know it's not his fault. It's the rules.
Yeah.
I don't blame him at all. And, you know, as a player, you'd much rather know what you're doing for the next 5 years. That's great for him. But I'm talking about the look for the game. It's not a good look for the game. When you've got players signing so far out, the fans hate it. So bring back a June 30 deadline or an August 1 deadline or a July 1, whatever it may be, and leave it there.
Every other major sport around the world has drafts and those sorts of picks.
But Gus, you were once a player. You were once a player with a family. What happens if you, the Dolphins, for example, you're a player at Cronulla, you've got 3 kids in school, all of a sudden the Dolphins are going to sign you in October, and you've got to move your whole family up there. The kids got to start school at the back end of the year. It's a big ask.
Yeah, it's for that sort of money. I think you're entitled to
I think it's a big ask.
If you want to be a bank manager and they assign you to Dubbo, you've got to up and go to Dubbo. I mean, everyone does that. They've got to go to where the work is and where the money is. It's as simple as that. I don't think that's a big turn-off. In the old days when the draft first came in, what happened was the draft got challenged because a player got picked up by a club he didn't want to go to. And back in the days, there was a big difference between going to certain clubs and certain coaches, what have you. These days, they've all got great facilities, they've all got great coaches, the opportunity is the same. So, but we're not set up for a draft. The country's not set up for a draft. No one's done the work over the last 20 years to set us up properly for a draft. We're missing out on a huge opportunity. You looked at the draft events that they have in other sports, and they're here in Australia with the AFL. They're monumental events, and the fans really get engaged with it, and it's a great talking point. We don't have that, all right? Instead, we have these backroom deals and coffee shops and back on coasters and doing all the rest of it. I mean, it's just how it is. And if you put the June 30 thing was hilarious because all the deals were done before June 30.
I understand that, Gus, but you know what? The fans didn't know it. Yeah. And I'm just talking about the fans.
It was muted in the papers. There's always someone going to leak it in the papers and someone's going to speculate.
I just think it's a bad look for the game at the moment. The fans have to put up with someone knowing they're going to leave their club so far out. I just think that I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Well, things went on behind closed doors. You blokes had things leaked to you, but at the end of the day, the fan didn't know for sure until after June 30.
Yeah, the game failed in a big way with its negotiations with the Players Association over the last 20 years because they've kept giving and giving and giving and getting nothing back in return. A draft is in the best long-term interests of the game. It's as simple as that. Now, you might have to trade off things to give to the players so that they will accept that. The draft is illegal, it's been proven, but in the best long-term interests of the game, they should agree to do it, provided they get certain things. What the problem is, we've given all the players everything. There's nothing to negotiate with now. and they'll just stick on their dig and won't do it, even though it's in the best long-term interest of the game to have a draft. It's as simple as that. We're not set up for it. It's going to take another 10 years to get set up for it, but that's the best long-term interest for the game.
Speaking of backroom deals and players signing 12 months out, Gus, Penrith Bulldogs this week, a lot of talk in the off-season about Kikau and that photo that surfaced. Can you clear the air as to what happened here? Look, obviously the system encourages this for players to sign so far out. So what happened in this situation here with Kikau and this photo that was leaked?
It was a rogue security guard. That was a CCTV camera. Couldn't believe it. CCC. It was never intended. We took some photos of him in the shirt because he'd be going to the World Cup at the end of the year. We probably wouldn't see him till January, and we needed something promotional. Then Trent wanted a photo with him, and then they asked me to come into the photo. But that's not the photo that we were taking. That was taken from a CCTV vision above us. When I went upstairs to see where the camera was, I said, "Who's got access to that?" And it just turned out to be a fan who happened to be a Panther fan working in the...
Have they still got a job?
Eh?
They still got a job?
Well, I rang up a couple of hours and said, "Please don't tell me you've got a wife and kids." But he didn't leak it. He sent it to another bloke who was a Panther fan, and he leaked it.
See?
You know, but that's how. And that was in a remote part of the club, closed down, with curtains around the boardroom door. There was no one knew he was in the building. No one knew he was in the building. Right, simple as that. But that's.
But the system allows those circumstances to.
Oh, Bulldogs were quite within their rights to sign him. There's nothing wrong with that. And he was quite within his rights to negotiate a future.
But
he'd already decided he was leaving Panthers. I never dragged him out of Panthers, and I said to them I wouldn't do that. But if you've already made the decision you're leaving Panthers, you had a big offers from the Dragons and the Cowboys. I said, then we'll get into the fight. He said, no. He said, I have to leave Panthers. I said, all right.
It's that whole concept of putting on a polo of another team while you're playing for one team. That if I'm a fan, that would.
Remember Benji Marshall? He says it's one of the great regrets of his career, putting on that Auckland Blues jersey while he was still contracted to the Tigers.
So is anyone going to put on a Redcliffe Dolphins jersey? Are they going to struggle to recruit players here, Gus?
They've got a few.
Are people using the new franchise just to build up?
I think they've got more than you think.
Oh,
Yeah.
Let's
they're
let
going
them
on a nice
spill
one.
some names.
have you got any names for us?
No, contracts are in the drawer.
Right, okay.
He's smiling, the old coach.
Easy.
Yeah, had a cup of tea with him up there earlier on.
Right, so
Is it?
He's smiling.
he's got it sorted.
Yeah, no stress.
I mean, Kalen Ponga, there was obviously the meeting, which got a lot of people, including Andrew Johns, fired up, but it sounds like in the end he's going to stay with the Knights.
Well, until Kalen Ponga signs, honestly, with Kalen Ponga at the moment, it's hard to tell what he's going to do. It's been on again, off again, wanted to go to the All Blacks, wanted to stay Newcastle. Now there's talk about the Dolphins. The thing with Kalen he talks about is winning a premiership. Now, if he goes to the Dolphins, it's going to be on a lot of money. It's going to make it very hard for the Dolphins to win a premiership. If you're giving $1.3, $1.4 million to your marquee man, it's going to affect the roster down the track. So, for me, if he's going to win a premiership, if that's his prime objective, then the money shouldn't be the issue.
What about Munster? Where's Munster at?
Well, the Melbourne Storm have obviously re-signed Hughes and Grant and that. So Munster, I think there's a wait-and-see approach with Munster. No doubt the skill's there, but the off-field incidents over the summer there have probably left a sour taste in the mouth of some people, but it depends on what you think he's worth. Now, they've got Pappenhausen, Hughes, Grant on big money.
That's what I mean. I can't imagine they're going to be able to keep Munster on the money that he would want, and he's a big money player. Let's be honest, he's a marquee player.
Well, how desperat's Wayne going to be in the end? Because if they're going to blow him out of the water, he's not going to stay at the Storm.
Well, I'll think he'd be a bit desperate, but by the sounds of it, Gus is saying he's got a few signed already.
Gal, in a word, because we've got to go, if you got offered $700 a year for 2 years to go to the Dolphins or $300 a year to stay at the Sharks, both 2-year deals, what do you
Well, I've got to say, as much as I supposedly love money, I always stay at the Sharks for less money. It was worth it in the end. It was worth it in the end. We got the premiership.